teaching. First, let's pay homage to the lineage gurus. Homage to the Venerable Monk Liao-Ming. Homage to Master Sakya Tsung-Kong. Homage to His Holiness the 16th Karmapa. And homage to Master Tupten Dorji. Homage to the three jewels of the altar. Homage to the main deity of the group practice today, the great master of the compassionate vehicle, the greatly merciful and compassionate Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva. Sumu Danzhen Katsu. Tupten City, all Dharma masters, Dharma educators, Dharma teachers, Dharma lecturers, Dharma assistants, directors of temples and chapters, and all disciples present here and over the webcast. Good evening, everyone. How do you do? Aishiteru. Sarange.
Hola, amigo.
Hola, amigo.
Te quiero mucho.
Mucho.
Sugoin.
Sugoin.
Kimoji.
Kimoji.
Jumi. Yapi. Bling bling.
Bling bling.
Konbanwa.
I would like to announce today that the Tibi Boye, the True Buddha Divine Wisdom, event for the 5/20/2020 competition, drawing competition, and by voting score, the final conclusion was for the ordinary class, number 1 is number 14 from Indonesia, Tiffany. Lianhua Peiwen. Number 2, number 1 from Taiwan, Hong Jialan. Number 3, third prize, first prize, second prize, third prize. Number 2 from Malaysia, Chen Xiaojing. And for children group, first prize from Indonesia, number 17, a 12-year-old. That's the name. Second prize from Malaysia, number 12, an 11-year-old, Zheng Yi'en. Third prize from Taiwan, number 7, a 9-year-old, Chai Xiling. And from the competition this time, The organizer, D.B. Boye, would like to thank everybody.
公布来自马来西亚杨文仪的祝寿特别奖外，另增加下列的奖项。一个是幼幼奖
special prize
来自台湾的4岁
for the toddlers group, 4 years old from Taiwan, Liu
来自
Yichen.
马来西亚的
The evergreen
80
prize
岁黄连
is a 81-year-old from Malaysia, Huang Lian.
以及恭请师尊师母在各
And we're inviting
族
Grandmaster
群
and
之外
Sumo
挑选出寿星奖
to
儿童
choose
组
a
来自台湾的10
birthday
岁9号
prize.
黄
Number 9 from
如
Taiwan,
一
Huang
一般
Ruyi.
组来自印尼的
For
15号
the ordinary team, number 15 from
Hui
Indonesia, Heng Huiming, Hani.
一个是寿伯组寿伯奖
And for
寿
the
伯
elderly group,
儿童组来自马来西亚9
the
岁
children group
8号的林
from
新
Malaysia,
杰
number 8,
一
the
般组
9-year-old Ling
来
Shen
自
Ching.
马来西亚19号的李三
And
维
for the common team from Malaysia, number 19, Li Sanwei.
第一阶段进入评选的一般组
In the first
一共有
round,
30位
there were 30
儿童
people
20位
uh,
均可获得
joining
精美的小
and
礼
20 for the children's group,
恭喜大家
and they will all
真
receive
佛
small
佛业
gifts.
上
Congratulations.
全体人员顶礼
Homage by D.B. Boye's all team members, the whole team of D.B. Boye.
现在说法开始准要
Now, at the beginning of Dharma teaching, I would like to start with a joke.
法官问小偷
The judge asked the thief,
行为有什么要辩解的
Do you have
小偷
any
讲
arguments
我好几
against
天没
your
吃东
action?
西
And the thief said, I haven't eaten for a few days. I'm really hungry, starving. And the judge
你偷
asked,
的是面包店，那你
But
为
you
什么
stole from a
偷
bakery.
钱
Why did you just steal money and not the bread?
不行
And the thief said,
从小我爸爸就
No,
教导我，
my dad
做
always
人
taught
要
me
有骨气，
that
不是用自己的
as a
买
human
来的
being,
不要吃。
we have to have principles. We cannot eat what we don't buy with our own money.
其实他偷人家的钱也不是自己的钱啊
But he stole the money.
第一个笑话觉得很矛盾，那再讲第二个笑
The
话。
first joke was contradictory, so let's share a second
两
joke.
个人一起去参观油画展，
A couple
当
went
他
to
们面对一幅
to the gallery
树叶
and
遮盖的
enjoying
裸
the
女
paintings
画像时，
when there's a nude woman
老公
that's only covered by
金会
a
手
few leaves.
盯着那幅画，很久
Then the husband was
仍然
staring
不想离
at
开
that painting for a long time and did not want to
妻子
move.
叫了几声，
And the wife called several times with no response.
于是不耐烦，
She got really impatient and said,
喂，
Hey,
你是想站到秋天
are you standing here
树
until
叶掉
autumn
下来
when the leaves fall to the ground. Look at your face. It's really horrible. Now we'll do the question and answer. The first question by Lianhua Guozong from Taiwan. There's a directive from the Phoenix Hall, which is a kind of Taiwanese traditional divination temple or hall, through a medium, that upon death a person's soul disperses into 3 hun, or 3 pieces of souls, according to his or her karma and spiritual cultivation when one was alive. Either one ascends to the Buddha land, to heavens, or fall into hells. The Jue Hun sticks to the spirit tablet, receiving incense offering from his or her descendants. And the Seng Hun stays with its corpse or ash, which is visited only once a year during the tomb sweeping festival by his or her descendants in order to receive an offering of food. Only people who have deep meditation stability can gather their 3 pieces of souls. Otherwise, they will stick around in samsara. Is this the correct? The souls are divided into 3 hun, or 3 pieces of souls. One is called Jie Hun, Seng Hun, and the other one perhaps is called Ling Hun. Seng Hun, Jie Hun, and Ling Hun. Is this correct? At the so-called Phoenix Hall, this Taiwanese traditional. Do you know what Phoenix Hall is? Anybody's been there? Nobody knows? Have you ever seen Fuji? Fuji is like a divination. If you have, please raise your hand. Many of them. Wow. The Venerable Lian Xin, please reply. Do you know Fuji? It is like a psychic channeling. Do you know what Seng Hun or Jie Hun? So a soul is divided into 3 huns and 7 pos. In the local traditions of the kind of channeling is very popular. It's like what's it called? You know, in that Phoenix Hall, they are wearing a Dharma robe and they stay in line and they invoke to the sky and you have to chant. What's that called? So you hold a pen, and the one who's writing, and the one who's reading, and the other one recording. They're around the plate of sands. It's like mediumship. They are like the medium. So whether it's like heaven, earth, or human beings, and they will hold the pen and writes in this mediumship. Typically it's Quan Seng Di Jun. So the Phoenix Hall that worship Quan Seng Di Jun, Quan Seng, or Wu En Zu, or Li Zu. Li Zu is one of the five main deities of Taoism, and they use this, the so-called Fu Ji, which is a kind of mediumship. And he would hold a pen, and when he's chanting, like a mythical bird, like phoenix, it's like sometimes it's being held by one person or two people, or even three people. So, and then you write through this medium. When they're training, the pen will move. They hold the pen like this, and it would move by itself. And it would come down and write on the plate of sand. And it's not forming a character at first, but at the end it would write a character. One word by one word. And after it's being read, one by one, then it would become an article. So that's the mediumship in the Phoenix Hall. And of course the 3 pieces of souls and 7 pieces, 3 and 7, so 3 Hun and 7 Po. So they go according to their karma and behavior when they were alive. The Jie Hun would sticks to the spirit tablet. Seng Hun stays with the corpse or ash. And one more Hun would ascend to heaven or somewhere. Only people who had deep meditation stability can gather their pieces of souls together. Otherwise, the Seng Hun and Jie Hun would stay in samsara. Is this correct? Anyone who's been to the Phoenix Hall, please raise your hand. Is this accurate or wrong? Or in between?
答得出来吗？其实他讲。
Do you know the answer?
我也不知道。
Actually, I don't know either.
这个结魂依附在神主牌。
That 结魂 sticks to the spirit tablet, and 生魂 stays with the corpse of ash or bone.
那么死生跟骨灰池子在每年清明的时候，方受子孙
And the 生魂 and the tomb, of course, they only eat once a year during the tomb sweeping festival. They would die of death. I mean, they would die of hunger. That they would receive offering from their descendants. You know, let me tell you, I don't know either. Let me ask Golden Mother. Golden Mother also exists in this Phoenix halls in Taiwan. Please guide whether this piece is correct or not. Okay, so the answer, according to Golden Mother, all that's being invoked at the Phoenix Hall sometimes is the true Avalokitesvara or Kuan Yin Bodhisattva, or the ordinary gods or sages or bodhisattvas, and they do exist, but that's quite rare. It's rather rare. Typically, what's being invoked at the Phoenix Hall are just ghosts with some spiritual power. It's extremely rare to be able to invoke Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And the earth gods a little bit more. In order for them to receive offerings from descendants, they would say that. So therefore, the directives from the Phoenix Halls should be in between believing it or not believing it. If you believe it, sometimes it comes true. Sometimes you really cannot believe it. So it's in between. You have to use your own wisdom to discern whether they are real or not. Because those who descend, usually they have some spiritual capabilities And sometimes they are ghosts with some spiritual capability. Sometimes those who descend, even the so-called Buddha is not necessarily a Buddha, the so-called Bodhisattva is not necessarily a Bodhisattva. And the so-called God is not necessarily a God. Perhaps they are just ghosts with some spiritual capability. So therefore, what they say should not necessarily be trusted. However, sometimes they come through. Therefore, you should keep it between believing it or not believing it. That's the directive from Golden Mother. So it's fine whether you believe it or not. So when you die, you would know. When you die, you would know. The living ones don't know because they are intangible. The ghost is intangible too. And the smart ghost is called the spiritual ghost. Very smart. Therefore, they can give directions or directives and etc. So should you believe it or not? Just neutral. Base it on your own wisdom. But in Buddhism, we don't have this. This is just a local, traditional local belief. So whether you should follow it or not, it's up to you. When I was young, there were many people who played that. Also similar kind of mediumship. So one is called Fuji, the other one is Die Xian. Die Xian are being held by 3 people. Like Jumanji, I think. Like if you place a finger of 3 people on the plate, then they would move. And some people said that it's being pushed by the people physically, but no. Actually, there's a spirit in there. Because when I was little, my mother and her neighbors were playing that Jumanji or Die Xian, and they placed 3 hands on it. It didn't move. I was standing next to it and looking at it, watching it, and I felt didn't move at all after a long time. So I walked out from the front door and I smelled some incense, some fragrance, right? The smell of incense, the fragrance, right in front of my nose. And I told them, it came. I smelled it. As soon as I said that, the plate started to move. And the one who came, who descended, was Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva. And we asked, who is this? And it wrote, Guan Si Yin Pusa, Avalokitesvara. And my mom was curious. So she asked my question first. Will I join the military? And that medium plate said no. Why?
它碟子跑一跑，
And then it moves
不回
again
答，
and no answer.
不回答，请他去喝一杯茶，他就跑到茶杯旁边。
So we invited for tea, and it went to next to the cup of tea, and then they asked where would I go next, and said the central port. I was in Kaohsiung then.
他说你卢生燕将来会去中部，他不会去当兵。结果我长大了以后，发觉那个观世音菩萨讲得很准。
And it turned out it was accurate
是在台中啊。
because I got into the military college in Taichung.
啊，我真的搬到台中啊，就是中部啊。那为什么不去当兵呢？
Why didn't
军校啊，我是军人。
I become a soldier? Soldiers? Soldiers.
Soldier 是军人嘛，对不对 ？Major 是少校。
And I was a major.
居然读军校还要当什么兵？就真的不用当兵了。
Oh. Will I serve in the army? And it said no, because I went to the military college, so I became an officer, so I became a major with one flower. So I will look at this warrior bodhisattva was accurate, but had it been ghosts that came, then it would not be so accurate. They played that really every night, and sometimes it was the ghost that came, so it wasn't accurate. But when they were talking about me, it was accurate. So it's between, in between. Keep it neutral. The second question. A human being in his or her reincarnation, because he created mistakes and karma, so in his current life or after death, will have a small piece of his soul cut off by a ghost officer of the netherworld. Therefore, he or she will be reborn as animals or water creatures such as fish, shrimps, etc. And this kind of souls is called the fraction soul. Fraction soul. And because of this suffering, he repents and corrects himself and cultivates spiritually in order to unite with his original soul. So the more we reincarnate, the more we become fractional. The more fraction souls are, the less the original soul is. The more the fraction soul are, the less the original soul is, and we become more and more dull with it. It becomes harder and harder to cultivate spiritually and realize the Buddha nature. Other than for the spiritual astute, it would be extremely difficult and highly improbable for the rest of the people, for most of the people, to be able to deliver themselves. The only way is to rely on the great vows of the Buddhas. By chanting Amitabha, we can reborn in Sukhavati and continue to cultivate there. This is the only chance we can have attainments. So the ghost officer from the netherworld cut off a little piece of the soul and let it be reincarnated in the underworld until the time comes that that piece of your soul would reunite with your original soul. So now I'm asking you, is that correct? This doesn't exist in Buddhism. A fraction soul or living soul
禅灵、生灵、劫灵，还有一种
觉灵。
地府鬼差切出一小块的灵识，投生到畜生类。
So a small piece of soul cut off by the ghost officer of the netherworld and thrown into the animal's realm. Have you heard of this? No. Grandmaster has never heard of it either. This are all just it's just a tradition, like a folk belief. You would know when you die. What you're cutting your soul into little pieces? Oh my gosh. That would be painful. Taiwanese has many of these folk beliefs or folk tradition. So for the answer to this question is you would know after you die. Everyone would know after they die. Because there's no use even if you understand it now. Just do more good deeds. At least you would be reborn in heavens. You always have good thoughts. Never do evil, always do good. Then you would have no issues about this, about fractional souls or fraction soul. Or issues about 结魂 and 生魂. You'll know when you die. Malaysia, Lian Hua Yong Mei. How do we know that our ancestors or deceased relatives have been reborn? Are they certain to be reborn? Of course, as a Buddhist, we all know. How do we know that our ancestors or deceased relatives have been reborn? Are they certain to be reborn? Not necessarily. Being reborn or womb birth, because you're asking, that means to be a human being. Many beings were born from the womb. Like horses don't lay eggs. That's womb birth. Pigs also womb birth. Birth by womb. And if it's through eggs, there would be birth through eggs. And then birth in water. And birth through transformation. 4 kinds of birth. 4 kinds of birth. Will they be reborn as a human? Not necessarily. How do we know? Then, when you cultivate spiritually until you have a very high spiritual attainment, when you have the proofs of attainments, then you would know if your ancestors or deceased relatives have been reborn. So you would know based on your own level of spiritual cultivation. Or they have been reborn or gone to the Pure Land. Second question. If they have been reincarnated, do we need to continue to register them for Bardo deliverance? Burning paper money or spirit money? What help does this do? What help does this do? Let me tell you, continue to register them for Bardo deliverance. You should do so. It doesn't matter if they have been reborn or not, it will be helpful. They'll be beneficial. Because by registering for Bardo deliverance, it would increase their lotus class. It's written clearly in Siddhigarbha Sutra. When you recite the Siddhigarbha Sutra, you get the merits 70%, and the person that you chanted for gets 30%. So when you register your ancestors for Bardo deliverance, you get the merits 70% and your ancestors gets 30%. So of course, there's benefits. Then you should register for ceremonies and Bardo deliverance. Burning paper money or spirit money, it's all a good thing. It represents a kind of offering. So the spirit money is a kind of offering that you still think of your ancestors. It shows your respect to your ancestors. That's a good thing. And you should register for Bardo deliverance. It doesn't matter if they have been reincarnated or have been reborn in the Pure Land. Because in the Bardo deliverance ceremony, you would chant the sutras. Then by doing so, the deceased would get 30% and the person chanting it would get 70% of the merits. That's the second question. Oh, Amitabha. We, your disciples, reverently invite our lineage root guru to please recite the mantras in our practice procedure so that true Buddha disciples can learn properly from your pronunciation in order to receive the lineage power from our lineage root guru, and that everyone can recite the same way to continue the lineage perpetually. Thank you. True Buddha Foundation, all the directors. You're making trouble. You have no problems and now you trouble making. You know, my pronunciation is not necessarily right. The Cantonese would use Cantonese dialect, the Taiwanese would use Taiwanese dialect, and the Mandarin using the Mandarin dialect, and the Tibetan and the Indians would, they're all different. None of them are the same, really. That's the pronunciation even for Bhaja. My mom would say Pache, Pache, Pacha.
有的念别炸，有的念波叶。
Some people would say Pacha, some Poye, some Pacha, some chant. There's so many different ways to pronounce. The Tibetan would chant Soha. Soha. How do you chant Soha? In the Mahakaruna Dharani, we would chant Sapoho. From Soha becomes Sapoho. That's a huge difference. So Sapoho is recited by the Chinese when chanting the Mahakaruna Dharani, and now we chant Soha. Hmm? Oh, jeez. So if you want to listen to my pronunciation, I would chant it. That's Padma Kumara mantra, purification mantras.
Namo Samanto Modalang Doro Doro Devi Soha Ahom Soha. Some people chant Fuzradan Ho Ho Hom Fuzradan Ho Ho Hom.
An invocation mantra. Offering mantra.
Sawa Tathagata Ita Mu Gurunana Menchala Jin Nini Daye Mi. 这个不叫进吧
That's not Jin. This should be Kan.
Sawa Tathagata Ita Mu Gurunana Menchala Kan Nini Daye Mi. Sawa Tathagata Ita Mu Gurunana Menchala Kan Nini Daye Mi. 就是这样子念。
That's how you should chant it, right?
Sawa Tathagata Ita Mu Gurunana Menchala Kan Nini Daye Mi. 四归咒
Perfect refuge.
Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dhammaya, Namo Sankhaya. 披甲护身
Armor protection.
波律燃则力 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 波律燃则力。
The Karma Eradication mantra of the Hiking Koyin Sutra. Of the seven Buddhas. Karma Eradication mantra of the seven Buddhas. what I chant would be different from the Tibetan. So now you know. This is kan.
Home。这个一个口，一个又不是念着腹吗？那个绑住的绑怎么念
How do you pronounce this character?
哇兹拉丹 哇兹拉丹吽，那倒是对的。刚刚我念的是对的。
哇兹拉丹吽。So what I chanted for the purification of the mind was right. So is that okay?
Yeah. 所以你们一问我就念错了。
That's right, because you're putting me on the spot.
有些咒语不是很常念的。
You know, some mantras that we don't chant regularly, you may not remember. It's not our key mantras for yidams and it's impossible for one person to chant all the mantras completely. I have a book on mantras from the Kagyupa, the white sect, the tantric mantras, a huge book on it from the Kagyupa. Many mantras, and they are noted by the Taiwanese pronunciation. There would be more. That would be better. Otherwise, everyone's pronunciation would be different. Just for the Vajra or Becha. Bacha. In Chinese, it's banza. And some transliterated into bieza. Like frying za in Chinese. Bieza. And in my old books, I use bieza. Sometimes I use banza. So the pronunciations are all different. There's a master from Hong Kong by the last name Liu Yezhi. His pronunciation is also not correct. He has a Cantonese dialect. That's from the Ningmapa. And Master Dupten Darji, his mantra pronunciation, because he's from Teochew or Chaozhou, so he used the Chaozhou dialect, Teochew. Taozuo is a area in the Fujian province in China. And the dialect of Indian people, let me know, the Indonesian people, in the mantra chanting of Indonesian people would be more close to the Pali pronunciation. Therefore, the Mahakaruna Dharani that's being chanted by Indonesian people would sound very nice, because the Indonesian sound is very close to the Pali language of the time of Sakyamuni Buddha. Hanifa. Hanifa's pronunciation should be accurate. You should ask Hanifa.
其实修要以前文之轮列共通道内。
Below.
是这个吗？
不是。Is that the part? No.
怎么搞的？这个都讲过了。
This is wrong.
贴错了吧？
You put the wrong pieces of paper here. We've talked about this before.
2020年8月1日要讲的，他讲70修要，70修要哪里
No, it's not that.
对呀，我一看我就知道。
So, I knew right away. See, I remember.
复次，教士之分武器之35。
Below is the instruction on the 35 key points of the 5-branch qi. The name, moving qi. Location, eyes. This qi is at the 2 eyes. And the name is the moving qi. And the function is to the ability to recognize colors, the clarity, and the strength. And the pain in the eyes, and after long gazing, that after you see for a long time, you would feel pain in your eyes. And the meditation that arises from the eyes is the brain is unharmed upon encounter, which assists in reaching wisdom. So the moving qi can stay in the eyes, so to let you gain wisdom. The moving qi stays in the eyes to let you attain wisdom. And in meditation, any phenomena that you encounter will not give rise to any afflictions. So, any phenomena will not affect the brain. So when your eyes have some meditative ability, whatever you encounter, you will not be afflicted by it. And at the same time, it will assist in your wisdom. And the ailment, blindness, when your blindness, the skillful means is the same as above. The next one, name the strong moving qi. If the moving qi is extremely strong, stays at the ears. What they're talking about now in Lamdre, it's the same as the medical science of the ancient time. We don't say it this way in the modern medical science, but just it is related to qi. And the name, strong moving qi. And the locations at the ears. And what do the ears do? The ability to distinguish the volume of sound, or all kinds of noises. You can hear them. And the pain that can occur is pain in the ear canal. Sometimes pain in the ears or hard of hearing, cannot hear clearly, like elderlies. That's how you pronounce it, right? Well, you're old and some organs deteriorating, then you cannot hear clearly. And the meditation horizon is the same. Not any phenomena will not affect the brain, which assists in reaching wisdom. So whatever you encounter will not afflict you. Grandmaster's ears are different from most people. Can you raise your hand if you can move your ears? Someone there? Anybody else? Can you move your ears? Can you please stand here and move your ears and show me? Come here and show, so that people know you. Okay, very good. And the other people cannot move their ears. But it's not related to this. So, the ability to distinguish the volume of sound. And the ailment is deafness or pus. The skillful means, as above, 3 kinds of skillful means. Next name, the extremely moving qi. So it's even stronger than the strong moving qi. And it stays at the paranasal sinus, at the nose. And the function, of course, to smell the various strength of aroma, whether it's fragrant or foul or filthy. And the pain is at the bone of the nose or nose or nose bones. And meditation is the same. Any phenomena will not create afflictions which assist in reaching wisdom. This is talking about the 5 organs. The ailment is the nose collapse or inability to smell. And the skillful means is as above, the same. 3 kinds of skillful means. The next name, current moving qi. And the location at the tongue and small tongue. Tongue and small tongue? What does it mean? How come there are big tongue and small tongue? That's strange. Tongue is tongue. Tongue and small tongue. And the function is the ability to taste its strength, fragrant, spicy, foul, salty, sweet. We know more than they do. And the pain is the swollen tongue and the small tongue. So the tip of the tongue is called the small tongue and the rest is called tongue. If you can curl your tongue, please raise your hand. A few of you. That's unrelated to this. If your 5 senses, the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin, and mind, and if all of them can reach meditation, then it will not give rise to any afflictions, and they all can reach wisdom. Those are the 5 senses, right? And the ailment, of course, is mute or dumb. No sound produced. And the skillful means as above. And the name is the real moving qi. The locations at the blood vessels, skin, hair, and collectively all the body. So it stays at the blood vessels, skin, hair, and the function to distinguishes the texture of touch objects. So the body is for the touch. The coarseness or fineness. When you touch whether the skin is smooth or coarse, sharp or smooth, that's pointed, this is flat, that's a slippery glass and textile. You can feel it. and the pain, heat in the bodily hair. How could the hair be heated? Slipperiness and the meditation is the same. If you have the power of meditation, if you have entered into samadhi, all the same, no afflictions. And it can reach wisdom. The ailment is dry skin and acne. And the skillful means it's the same, 3 kinds. So that's all for today. This is like a medical science. The policeman told the thief, "You have good arms and good legs. Why do you want to become a thief?" And he replied, "But Judge, have you ever heard of a thief who doesn't have arms and legs or handicapped?" Xiaoming asked his dad, "Daddy, why do you place a pen on the back of a horse? Or to put a coin on top of the horseback? It's called instant money, which is a wealth practice of Golden Mother." And when Xiaoming got home, he drew on a piece of paper, and the dad asked, "What are you drawing?" Xiaoming laughs. "I want to give this drawing to my uncle who's going to work in China." "But why are you drawing a camel? That's not camel." It's that there are 2 boobs on top of the horse, which is in Chinese also means like the second wife. There are 2 things that always tempting in human life. One is money, the other one is sex. So human life is all about money and sex. And then add to it your name. You cannot abandon this. But if you are able to abandon these 3, then you become a sage. Or in Chinese play of word, then you become a leftover. No, a true sage. If you can leave behind money, sex, and fame, then you truly are a sage. Otherwise, human lives are all about these 3. In a crowded bar, there was a really handsome man walking toward me. And the man asked the woman, "Anybody got it here?" And the woman politely answered, "No." And in the woman's brain, she keeps thinking, "What else should I say to him?" And the man took away the chair. So she became disappointed. So what was that? Desire. Desire. So the handsome man, beautiful ladies, that's all. I guess in Chinese it encompasses everything, sensuality and desire and sex. The wife lost 20 pounds and she cried. So the husband was curious, why are you crying? You lost 20 pounds. You look so good. And the wife cried even more. If I knew that I look so good after I lose weight, I would not have married you. What was that? That's also about desire. So if you can leave behind money, sex and fame, then you're a sage. Saddam. George Bush, the second George Bush, killed Saddam. And Obama said, I killed Bin Laden. I shouldn't have said the name. I wouldn't want the name. I've killed hundreds of thousands of Americans. I don't know. I didn't say anybody. It's so hot now. So we go wherever where it's cool. That's not ridiculing anybody, but it is a true caring. It's a true love, a deep love. Go wherever it's cool. Nobody laughs. Not funny. Let me share a joke. If a man gets kicked in the balls, it's even more painful than a woman delivering a baby. And the woman replied, but you never give birth to a baby, how would you know? And the man said, I've heard so many women wanting to give the second child, but no man ever said that they wanted to be kicked again. So which one's more painful? I don't know. Thank you everybody. Om Mani Padme Hum.